Welcome to the Murder Mukbang Show.
I'm Ashley.
And I'm Brittany.
And we're going to be talking to you today about murder and eating food.
Yeah. Yep. And we're very new to this YouTube thing, so
bear with us.
Please bear with us. We might lose some light. Do you want to explain how your camera's set up right now?
Oh, yeah. So we are very new to this. And we basically, my camera is hooked up with a hair tie and a 5-pound weight sitting on 2 plastic boxes.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
And hopefully we get through this.
We're going to try to add some sound effects too, but
yeah,
if there's none in there, then
you just use your imagination.
Just use your imagination, because
again, I'm not very good at this whole thing, and
we're trying real hard.
We got to do the editing part, which YouTubing is like hard for us.
It is.
I'm not an idiot, but this computer stuff is hard.
Yeah, it is.
So, let's first start talking about, this is a murder talk show. Viewer discretion is advised. There are going to be graphic details, gruesome photos, gruesome talk, foul language. So you shouldn't have your kids around. If you're not into that kind of thing, don't watch.
No.
But if you are into it, watch it, because we're eating some yummy food, including a pie that I made. And we're going to be talking about murder.
Yeah.
Not that we find murder to be entertaining or anything like that, or we don't support murderers, psycho killers, anything like that. We just find it fascinating. So we'll go into more detail about that later.
Yep.
Okay. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. Let's get started.
Right. So the murder that we're going to be talking about today, murders, is 2 9-year-old girls from Brighton, England. Nicola Fellows and Karen Hadaway, both 9-year-old best friends, live right next door to each other. Couple houses down, actually. They didn't go to the same school, which we kind of find weird that they didn't go to the same school.
Like, they live 3 houses down from each other. Yeah. But yet they didn't go to the same school, and so, but they were still best friends. Like, they still played together.
Yeah.
They lived in the same neighborhood, so why wouldn't they?
So they hung out every day after school. The parents of Nicola, Susan and Barry, the last time that they seen their daughters was that day in October 9th. And Susan had said that she'd seen the girls playing at, 5 o'clock outside the house with a roller boot, which we discovered is
a roller skate.
Yeah.
That's what they call it. That's what they call a roller skate.
Yeah. So they were playing with the roller boot outside at 5 o'clock. Both girls decided that they, I guess, didn't want to hang out in front of their house anymore. So they just started walking. And they ended up going to this restaurant called the Seafair on Lewes Road and got some fish and chips, which is why
what we're eating
this
today
right now.
It's actually really good.
It is really good.
Yeah.
From a local place that we got here in Strasbourg.
Don't say the name of the place.
Straight to police or security.
Mm-hmm.
So the girls were last seen then. Around there, they were told by an older child that lived close to them, maybe you guys should go home. It's getting kind of late. Your parents are going to be worried about you. You're like a half a mile away from your house. They were also right around the corner from the wild park, the Mukbang Wild Park.
He said corner.
Corner. Anyway, they're right around the corner.
Just rolls off the tongue. Sweet molasses. Sorry.
So they were really close to this wild park, and I know normally when people think of parks, they think of like swing sets and
playgrounds and stuff.
Playgrounds and slides, and no, this was a fucking forest.
It's like a state park or the national forest that we have here in the United States.
Yeah.
So
earlier in that day, one of the suspects that we will talk about later in this video, Russell Bishop, went to the Fellows' residence and talked to the Fellows' tenant, somebody that rented a room with them. His name was Douglas Judd. And Douglas Judd and Bishop and Nicola's father, Barry, all played on a cricket team together. So they were all pretty well known with each other. They were, I wouldn't say friends, but they knew each other.
They were acquaintances.
They knew each other.
They knew each other.
So Douglas, had warned Bishop, of Bishop that they should keep their kids away from him. He wasn't really a good dude. That same day when Bishop went to the house, Nicola had seen him there, and at the time, Russell was having an affair with, a 16-year-old.
He was 20.
He was 20, having a known affair with a 16-year-old, and Nicola, I guess, had some words about that, and she pretty much was like, your girlfriend's a slag.
Which is the British term for whore.
Called her a whore. This is a 9-year-old, by the way, calling another girl a whore.
Well,
so, I'm not going to say that was the reason why she was picked, but
it's a very good chance.
It's a possibility. That it's her saying that kind of put her on his radar.
Yeah.
So, that was the last time that they were seen alive. Later that night, the parents actually started to get really worried.
Okay, so we're going to take a break right now. We're going to kind of do this periodically, like throughout our videos, to kind of lighten things up, because this is talking about murder is a very dark subject. And so we just want to kind of like take a break from it, clear our heads for a minute, and then we'll jump right back into it. I'm sorry, I just burped. So we're going to start our first break with talking about who we are, how we met. Excuse me. I can't. I'm Ashley. And that's Brittany.
I'm Brittany.
So how we first met, Brittany and I both work in veterinary medicine, and so we both work at the same clinic. We have known each other for almost 2 years now. When Brittany and I first met each other, we were a bit standoffish to each other. Like, we didn't really know how to take one another, because I've been told that I'm a bit abrasive.
I don't like anybody at first, so.
Yeah, and I'm a bitch, so I can be kind of mean. And so I think, I wouldn't say that we didn't get along. I think we just we were just a bit standoffish to each other.
Yeah. We were coexisting in the same workspace, but we were not talking.
Yeah, we weren't friends.
We were not friends.
Until we found out we have a lot of things in common.
Yeah.
And one of the most important thing that we have in common is our love for The Office. I'm telling you, I have never met another person who has watched The Office as many times as I have.
Yeah.
With the exception of my husband, because I make him watch it all the time.
It's something that we're both extremely passionate about.
My glass I'm drinking my water out of says Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. Only if you're an Office fan, you'll get that.
Exactly.
So it's like the greatest show ever. So, of course, as soon as we found out that we loved The Office, we became friends. And then we found out that we had another thing in common, talking about murder.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So in our line of work, Brittany and I spend a lot of time together doing, like, I clean teeth of animals, cats and dogs. And so while I'm doing that, Brittany and I have a lot of time to talk. And so we talk a lot about murder at work. And I'm pretty sure our coworkers think that we're going to kill somebody one day, which is not going to happen. But
let's just say that if there was ever a murder in our town,
we would,
and there was no, like, suspects or anything, and there was, like, weird stuff going, like, I feel like people would
look at us.
I don't want to say look at us, but it might be a question.
Yeah, because
look, guys, we're not murderers.
We're not weird. Okay, I promise you, we're not. I like the psychology behind it.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into later.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are we ready to start this?
Yep.
We're done with our break. That's who we are. I'm sorry, my kids are upstairs taking a nap, but I can hear them.
They're taking a nap.
They're not sleeping. As long as I don't hear anybody crying, I'm good. Okay. So, after Karen doesn't return home. Her mom is like, what the heck? I gotta look for my daughter. So she's out looking for her child, trying to figure out where she is, and she can't find her, so they contact police. They start up a rescue party, or a search and rescue party that consists of like 200 people. Like, first responders, neighbors of the whole area. They're out looking for these girls. And they can't find them. So this is all like on October 10th. They're out there searching for them. And then finally, two men by the names of Kevin Rowland and Matthew Marchant. I'm sorry, I had to look at my notes. They find the bodies. And on first appearance, it actually looks like the girls are just sleeping, like they're both laying on their backs, but they're not moving. So they're found dead. And all of a sudden, the prime suspect, Russell Bishop, he gets super nervous when he finds out that they found the bodies. He's like shuffling his feet. He's sticking his hands in his pocket. He's fidgeting around, just gets super weird all of a sudden. And people notice that. People take note of that because it's just weird. But he was more nervous that the bodies had been found, but didn't actually show any emotions that the girls were dead.
No reaction to the fact that they were dead and, raped. And
yeah, everybody else was so upset that these two little girls, these two 9-year-olds, had just been found murdered.
Yeah.
But he doesn't care about that. So he's like number one on the suspect list. And when he gets questioned by the police, or like when he's just talking to police, he's like, if there's trace evidence on the bodies, it's from me because I went up to them and I checked for a pulse. Like he said he touched their necks to check for a pulse.
Yeah.
But witnesses say that he did not get anywhere close to the bodies. Like he wasn't anywhere near them.
No.
So how could he have touched them? So it just seems like he's trying to, I don't know.
Are you going to tell him about Misty?
I'm sorry. Russell Bishop was actually involved with the search and rescue. Thank you, I forgot about this. He was involved with the search and rescue. So that shows you what kind of true psychopath he was. Like, he knew that where the girls were and he knew that they were dead, but yet he's volunteering for this search and rescue. And he was able to convince police that his dog, Misty, a terrier, was a tracking dog. Which, to me, is weird because it's 1986 and, like, that was the year that I was born. So, I don't really know much about that time period, but I don't think search and rescue dogs were, like, a huge thing back then. And the fact that he's like, yeah, my dog's a search and rescue dog. Like, some rando has a search and rescue dog that's worth
17,000 pounds is what he said he was insured
for. Which we'll need to figure out what that converts to American dollars.
Have to.
Anyways, so that's just weird. Like, really, some random guy. Whatever. She's not a tracking dog because she didn't find the bodies.
No. He was more concerned about the fact that his dog had been out tracking all day than he was finding these girls that he murdered.
So, the bodies are found. Both of the girls, I'm sorry. Probably shouldn't be chewing food when I say this next part.
Yeah.
Both of the girls had been sexually assaulted and strangled to death. There was some forensic evidence around, but it was almost kind of like the forensic team or like the investigators of this kind of dropped the ball a little bit, and didn't do a very adequate job of collecting everything and preserving everything because, which we'll discuss later, but it just kind of felt like things were missed and things didn't get logged correctly, and it's really unfortunate because it's actually the guy gets to go free for a little while, but we'll go into more detail about that next.
Yeah. So you want to tell them a little bit about the place that they were found, like this den?
So the girls They were found. So this wild park is, this big forest, but it's very like low-lying brush. And the girls were found in like this makeshift den.
We'll throw a picture up.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, it just is weird. Like, it's it's a big forest. I mean, I'm sure people go hiking and stuff there, but it's kind of like they just were found, like, under this brush in this den.
It kind of reminds me of, so I don't know, like, when you were growing up, if you ever had, like, this place when you were in high school, like, close to the high school. We had one that was called, like, the Cut. And it was pretty much this little area behind the school that there was so much traffic through, like, students going, because they took it as a shortcut, that it made, like, this kind of like
pathway.
Yeah, this pathway, this den kind of thing. And that's what I think of when I read this story. Like, you have to think if these girls were lured to this spot. And, it just, it makes me think that, did he know about this beforehand? Has he brought girls here before? Like,
yeah.
We'll go a little bit more into his history later, and we'll tell you what kind of person he was and why we are thinking this way. I don't feel like they were his first victims, but
yeah. But we'll go into that.
We'll go into that.
We got some conspiracy theories here. So, okay.
So, October 31st, 1986 was the first time that Russell Bishop was actually arrested for these crimes. He was very well known in the Molscombe area where they were from, as a petty thief, and that he just was not a good guy. Like, he was living in the Hollandine area, which is extremely in close proximity to the last place the girls were seen, as well as the wild park, as well as where he lives. It's like all in this big triangle. We actually found a map quest of where the girls lived, right next to each other, and then it shows a trail to the restaurant that they were last seen at, and then also there's another little trail on there that shows where the bodies were discovered. So he was well known in the area. He lived with his pregnant girlfriend, Jenny Johnson, and they also had another son together that lived with them as well. He was having an affair, like I'd mentioned earlier, with this 16-year-old Marion Stevenson. 16, like, this was known in town that they were sleeping together.
And you don't think that, like, because he's 20 and she's 16, it's only a 4-year difference. Yeah. She's still a child.
Yeah. I feel like pedophiles kind of use that as an excuse, like, when they're that age, around 19, 20, 21, 22, in that range, they feel like it's okay to sleep with somebody that's 14, 15, 16 just because they're less than 5 years apart.
Yeah.
But that we all know that that's not the case. Like, you may only be a couple years apart, but that is a child. Like, they should not have any knowledge or idea of what kind of relationship you're trying to have with them. Like, he was a nasty guy. And they were on the cricket team that they were on together, Barry and Douglas and Russell. He was well known, like, to just be nasty. Like, he would just be watching school children. He would be wolf whistling at them, which is like catcalling, I'm assuming. And just watch these young girls playing and doing handstands. And I'm not just saying young girls, like 16-year-olds.
No, children that are younger than 10.
I'm talking about school children, like elementary school children. That's what he was doing in his spare time, was gawking at them and, like, just being a perv. And people noticed, like, he was called out on it multiple times. You know, he had been on the police radar before because he was wrongfully accused of the Brighton bombing. So the police knew who he was. Like, his friends knew what kind of person he was. And I say friends, I use that term lightly because I don't know if they were friends, but they were acquaintances. And they knew what kind of person he was. The police knew what kind of person he was. They had another mutual friend, Jeff Castwell, that said that he was nothing but a liar and had little big man syndrome. Like,
he had some issues.
He did not have the best reputation. He was a gross guy.
Yeah. And he also had a mustache.
He did. He had a mustache, and Ashley and I, we don't like mustaches on men. Like, just mustaches only.
You're a pedophile.
You look like a pedophile. I'm just going to put that out there. Any men that may be watching this video.
We're not saying you are a pedophile. We're just saying that's how we
you look like one.
Look.
You look like one.
Okay. And that's our opinion only.
You can say it either way. Either way is correct. We say mukbang because I feel like that sounds better with the murder mukbang show. It just rolls off your tongue. But you could also say mukbang. That's another way that it's said.
So, like I told you earlier in our first break, Brittany and I like talking about murders. And one day when we were in dental doing a dental procedure on a dog, we just started talking about it. And it was like, it dawned on us, like, all of these people can make these YouTube videos about random stuff. Why can't we do a YouTube video about murders?
Yeah.
Because it's starting to become like a thing.
Mainstream
to talk about true crime. And so we just decided, let's talk about murder while we're eating food. Like that, because those are like the two things that we love.
Yeah.
And The Office. So don't worry, we'll be throwing some quotes in there for you.
And this is we're not always gonna be doing an eating show.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll probably always be talking about true crime because that's what our channel's about, but there's been discussions of us doing some makeup related videos. So
there's a stupid fly around here.
So Ashley does not feel like she's got enough skill to do a makeup video.
No, I don't.
So we'll probably switch it up. Maybe one time I'll do makeup on her, and then she'll do makeup on me for another video. She says it's not going to happen.
We'll see.
I'm going to talk her into it.
We'll see.
It's going to happen, y'all.
Okay.
Mark my words, it's going to happen.
Whatever.
So that's why we chose murder and mukbangs, because this is what we like to talk about.
And this is what we like to do.
Yep. So
not murders. Eat food,
no.
I mean.
Look.
We don't commit murders.
We
have never committed any murders. We are not psychopaths.
And we don't condone murders either.
No.
We don't think that this is funny or amusing in the slightest.
Nope.
I can't speak for Ashley, but ever since I was probably close to like 10 or 11 years old, I've been extremely curious with the darker things in life.
Yeah. Kind of a little bit unhealthy, but
yeah, I feel like it's a pretty morbid obsession that I've always had, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it's completely healthy. I think that I'm not the only person, obviously, because Ashley likes it too, so.
Yeah. And they have like millions of podcasts out there about murder and true crime. But yeah, we like to talk about it.
Yeah.
And again, we don't find any of it funny. No. We try to make it lighthearted.
Yeah.
Because it is so gloomy and dark, and that's kind of how we process things.
Yeah.
Like that, we make jokes. I'm that person that when you tell me that your mom just died, I'll laugh. Not because I find that funny, because I laugh at the most awkward things.
This is the same thing for me, too. Like, if I see a child get hurt, my first instinct is to laugh. I can't help it. I will then make sure that the child is okay and that they're not, like, dying or whatever.
And then you laugh.
I laugh, I assess the situation, and then I laugh again. That's the way it goes.
Yep, 100%. That's me too.
I'm also a very honest person.
Yeah.
So
some things that she might say is offensive.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Me too.
We'll apologize. We'll pre-apologize for any foul language that we use on this channel. Because we both have potty mouths. And I feel like we actually are kind of controlling ourselves a little bit. But anybody else that works with us, like...
They said that we wouldn't be able to make a YouTube video because I used the F-bomb. Dropped the F-bomb too many times. So, But
suck on that.
She doesn't mean that.
No, I don't.
God, you're gonna get fucking fired. Okay, so we're moving on. So break time's over. We're gonna continue about the murder.
Break time's over. So the next little bit of information we have is from December 3rd of 1986. Bishop was actually charged for the murders and kept in custody until his 1987 trials. He stayed incarcerated that entire time. He talked to police. He told them that, I think we already discussed this, but he said the night in question about the murders, he actually said that he was trying to steal a car from the University of Sussex. I don't know why he would admit to that, because that's not what he was doing. I guess it's better to steal than to be out killing 9-year-olds, so maybe that's where his thought process came from. Then he went back on that and said that he was out to see his girlfriend, but he bought some cannabis and just decided to go home instead.
You mean weed?
I mean weed.
You're using the technical term here.
Look, we got to be professional about some of these things.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So,
bought some cannabis. And went home. That was not the truth. He did not go home that night. And Russell Bishop was really good at tailoring his story to fit the evidence. Mm-hmm. And that is why he got away with this for so long, you guys. He's a good liar.
Over 30 years got away with with these 2 murders.
Asshole.
Yep. So we're going to move on to the trials.
Okay. So, December 10th, 1987. Sorry, I got to look at some of my notes to get these dates correct, because I can't even remember what I had for breakfast this morning. So, December 10th, 1987, after a 4-week trial, Bishop was acquitted. He was found not guilty. And when that happened, he ran out of the courtroom and, like, just shouted, "Found not guilty, not guilty." Like, came out of the courthouse being all, like, weird and shit. And because he was so happy that he was found not guilty. There are several reasons as to why he was found not guilty. I think probably the number one reason is because when the girls' bodies were found, the pathologist did not record the body temperatures. I'm pretty sure that they were never taken, which is critical because you have to determine the time of death. So you take their body temperature to determine the time of death, which has been an issue this whole entire case about when the girls actually died, because like just the whole time frame, because Bishop was seen leaving Wild Park at around 6:30 p.m. on October 9th, but then some witnesses say that they saw the girls alive at 6:45 p.m. Yeah. So it was crucial that these body temperatures be taken to establish that time of death, but it wasn't done. The other thing that wasn't done was the measurements of the strangulation marks on their necks. I guess because, you can measure like the size of the hands and stuff, which then would have pointed to Bishop probably. And then also the third thing was that there was blood that was found on Karen Hadaway's underwear that they never tested, like didn't get like the blood type or anything to make sure that it was Karen's, or if it was, the suspects. Yeah. And then also, like, because just going back to the timeline, like, if they couldn't determine the time of death and people saw Bishop leaving the park at 6:30, but then the girls were alive, like, he has an alibi after that point. And so that is... After 2 hours of deliberation, the jury was like, we can't find him guilty because of this. And there was actually one juror who said that they all knew that it was him. Yeah. Everybody knew that it was him. But they couldn't point it out.
They couldn't match up the timelines.
They couldn't.
Because of how mishandled the investigation was.
Yeah.
Like, it was...
It was poor. It was
Law
really
enforcement failed these children at first.
Well, they did. So he was acquitted, and he went out. So one thing that I forgot to mention, like, he was involved with the search party, but like he was also passing out flyers and stuff. And when he was acquitted, he continued to find justice for the girls because he wanted to clear his name, which to me is beyond fucked up, because he knew that the girls were dead. Yeah. He knew that he had killed the girls, and yet he's still trying to find justice and being in the media. And that to me is like, why wouldn't you leave town?
Yeah.
Why would you continue to do this and have the spotlight on you? I don't get that. I don't understand that, because I get it. People are wrongly convicted every day, but like, I don't know. This guy just strikes me as being weird.
I just don't. I don't know whether or not he stayed in the limelight and stayed talking to the media because he wanted to be close to the case to see what kind of information they were getting on the case, or if it's the complete opposite and he just wanted to continuously get recognition.
Have his 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah, like he was proud of what he did. He wanted to keep reliving those murders over and over in his head, so he just continued to stay in the media and continue to talk about it. And, you know, what he said to Barry Fellows was wrong.
Oh, yeah. So after court, he goes to the Fellows' home, Susan and Barry Fellows' home, and says to Barry Fellows, I didn't top your daughter. Like, that
disgusting.
Is disgusting. You didn't rape my daughter. Like, you're going to sit there and say, I didn't top your daughter. Not, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry that you're having to go through this. I'm sorry everything is so upside down right now. Like, nothing. But you're going to say, I didn't rape your daughter. Yeah. Fuck you, asshole.
Fuck you, Russell Bishop.
So, then, we're fast forwarding 3 years.
Can you talk about the shirt?
Yes, I'll talk about the shirt. So, there was a sweatshirt that was found near a train station, which happens to be a route that Russell Bishop takes often. And it was a blue Pinto sweatshirt, which I guess Pinto is a type of a brand name or something. And when it was originally found, it was not found by police. It was just found by some random people. And they just took it to the lost and found and said, hey, I just found this sweatshirt. Don't know who it belongs to. Well, somehow the police, like, figure this out and they make the connection. And they're taking the sweatshirt. It has stains on it that look like blood. They take the sweatshirt to Bishop's house, like where him and his girlfriend lived. And as soon as, like, they're walking up the driveway, you know, Jenny Johnson opens the door and she's like, hey, that's Russell's sweatshirt, which is kind of weird.
Didn't even ask her about it. She was just like,
randomly, that's my boyfriend's sweatshirt.
Thanks for bringing it back.
Yeah. And so they tested the stain that was on the shirt, and it actually came back as paint. Not blood, but a rare type of red paint.
Car paint.
That they actually linked to Bishop in his garage. So that's kind of weird. But during the trial, and another reason why he got acquitted, was the girlfriend recanted her story and said, no, that sweatshirt is not my boyfriend's. That's not his.
No.
So, yeah, another reason why he got to go free.
Yep.
So, fast forwarding 3 years to February 4th, 1990, Bishop is arrested again for the abduction, sexual assault, and attempted murder of a 7-year-old girl. 7. Her name is Claire, and she is one badass motherfucker.
She's a badass, y'all.
Yeah. She's 7 years old, and she is able to recall detail about what happened to her. So, here's the story about her. She's walking down the street. Bishop grabs her, throws her in the trunk of his car. She's in the trunk. She's beating on the hood of the trunk, trying to get people's attention. He's driving off to some other location, and he's yelling at her to shut up.
Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up or I'll kill you, is what he said. And he takes her to another location. He rapes her, strangles her, assumes that she's dead, and he throws her body away like she's a fucking piece of garbage. She's laying in the bushes, and she I guess, I'm assuming she was unconscious for a little while because she woke up and she started wandering around a place called the Devil's Dyke. And some people find her, and they go to the police, and this girl was able to give kind of a description of the guy. She said that he was younger looking than her dad. He had a mustache, and he drove a red car. And then, like, they're like, wait a minute, this kind of sounds like Bishop a little bit.
Yeah.
And so they get Bishop in for a lineup. Well, this guy.
This piece of trash.
Sorry, my kids upstairs are growling. I don't know. This piece of trash is like, shit, I thought that girl was dead.
Yeah.
So he's kind of freaking out a little bit because he knows that, you know, she can point the finger at him. So he goes into the bathroom, wets his hair down to make it darker than what it actually is, which is the same thing that Ted Bundy did when he was in a lineup. And the police are like, what the fuck? Dry your hair. So they made him dry his hair off, and this girl was able to point the finger at him and say, that's the man that attacked me.
We have a little video clip actually that we're gonna
attempt.
We're gonna attempt.
If we can't, we'll put it in the link today.
You think it's number 9?
But it's just it's a video of her clear as day.
Yeah.
Number 9.
Yeah.
Like she knew exactly
She knew who it was. There was no hesitation in her voice at all.
That I feel like Claire alone is the reason Bishop is in jail right now.
Absolutely.
Because if he was never caught for this second crime, they would have, I don't think they would ever, found him guilty of Karen and Nicola's death. Like, he just would have continued to go underneath the radar and...
Yeah.
So, props to this 7-year-old, you guys.
Yeah. She's pretty awesome.
She is pretty awesome.
So, yeah. He goes to... Well, that's Brittany's next topic.
Let's see. So on December 3rd...
Do you want pie?
We'll do that after this one.
Okay.
Cut and then uncut. So on December 3rd of 1990, he was actually charged and sentenced to life for this attempted murder and rape on the 7-year-old named Claire. He was given life with only having to serve 14 if he could get off on good behavior. But yeah, he was sitting in jail, finally.
He got turned down by the parole
Twice. Because they knew what was up.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's ever questioned his guilt. He got away with those first 2 murders because he was a good liar. And because the investigation was really fucked up the first time around. And everything was mishandled.
Yeah.
So, we're going to take another little break.
We're going to get some pie.
Switch our little setup. Brace her falling asleep, yo.
All right. So we are back. Don't mind my chipped plate here. I live like I am 20 years old again. Anyways.
At least she's got plates. I don't even got plates. Actually, I'm lying. I do got plates, y'all. Don't listen to that.
So I made this pie. It's just a chocolate cream pie. Super easy. Hope it's good. Hope the crust is good. I can't guarantee that because I had some trouble with it last night.
I didn't actually. It's gonna be delicious.
Well,
yeah. She made this cream from like homemade, y'all. This is not Ready Whip. This is a fresh.
I can't even get it out of the dish.
It's a fresh creme.
Oh gosh. Oh my lord.
Maybe you should have got a spoon.
Well, you know what?
It's okay.
Oh damn it! This is gonna be it. I got it. Okay. That would be mine. All right. So moving on while I dish out the pie here.
So I'm going to talk about the next flash of timeline that happened after he was sentenced and he's now serving time in jail. So in July of 2002, the case was subject to reviews and DNA profiling because, DNA investigation and that whole scientific thing had started to get, better. So they wanted to go ahead and retry it, you know, see if they could look at the evidence again and put this on Russell. It was unsuccessful the first time around because Russell's defense came up with this technicality pretty much. So they could not link Russell to this blue Pinto shirt anymore. It's out. Like, they cannot use this to try him anymore. They can't use it in any kind of investigation. This is no longer a piece of evidence in this case. Because even though they were able to find Karen's DNA on the shirt in the sleeve, so if your sleeve is like this, when they found the shirt, it was rolled up, and they were able to unroll it and find DNA in the cuff. Now, they were not able to use this anymore because his defense team stated that all of this DNA from these murders were on this shirt because of cross-contamination. Because this shirt was sitting on the same table in the lab as the other evidence. And Bishop's team is saying that that DNA from this other evidence got on this shirt, and they could no longer say that that shirt was part of the crime. It was no longer invisible. So, that shirt is out. In April 2005, the double jeopardy law was changed to where you can now be tried again in the UK for a case or for a crime that you have already been found innocent of. Which is good for us because that means this motherfucker is able to be tried again for the murders that he committed. So in January of 2006, DNA, even though they can't use it, they linked DNA from the shirt to Bishop. That shirt belonged to Bishop. They just could not use it anymore in court.
So that means that they had to find
brand new evidence.
Other forms of DNA.
Yes.
Which they did find.
Yes.
They had taken a tape impression on Karen Hadaway's arm, and they were able to use that DNA, which linked it to Bishop.
Yep. So in fall of 2006, even though they are still working on this case, the investigators had to call the families of the Fellow and Hadaway children because they had not made any sort of leeway. They were still looking for suspects. They just wanted them to know that we don't have any answers for you, but we are still working on it. Then that leads us to the next topic of Barry Fellows actually becoming another suspect. In 2009, Barry Fellows was arrested in his home along with their mutual friend Douglas Judd for the suspicion that Judd had sexually assaulted Nicola when she was still alive and had recorded it, and Barry Fellows had watched this tape. He had paid Judd for this tape. Now, all of this was fabricated by Bishop because he was still, as we said before, in the limelight. He was still talking to the media. He was still trying to claim his innocence and that he didn't do this, and he was trying to figure out who did, blase, blase. Well, guess what? It backfired on him because they immediately seen through it, and the charges against Barry Fellows and Douglas Judd were dropped.
Yep. Well, there was, no actual evidence, that pointed the finger to Barry Fellows or Douglas Judd. There was no evidence of videotapes. All of a sudden, Bishop is like, oh, it was Barry Fellows who actually did it. But there was no evidence.
There was never any evidence of it.
So that was just him being a dick.
I will say, before you start on a new thing, now Ashley does not really get into conspiracy theories.
No.
All of that much. I, however, that is another passion of mine. And sometimes, you fall into that deep hole of the internet. You get stuck in places where you learn information you don't want to know. Or maybe you do want to know it. But it's information that's out there that's kind of hard to find. But if you know where to look, you can find it. Well, there's talks and theories that the reason that Russell Bishop got away with this for so long is because there was a child pedophile ring in their town that all of these young girls, and that is a known fact, that Bishop was known to try to connect with local teenage girls to get them to do pornography. But that is a known fact.
But there was actually no evidence.
There's no evidence, that. But it was known.
It's speculated.
Okay, it's speculated. Anyway.
Don't do that. Okay, going on.
So, it was speculated that there was this ring and that all these high up people in law enforcement were connected with it, and that is why he got away with it for so long, because they were all doing it, passing around these pornos with young girls in them. Mm-hmm. So initially that's why people said that this was brought up about Barry Fellows.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't believe it's true. Anyways, so moving on. May 10th, wrong year, because, fast forward a little bit. May 10th, 2016, Bishop is arrested again for the murders of Karen Hadaway and Nicola Fellows. After a 9-week trial, and with the prosecution presenting the new evidence of the tape impressions, the jury finally found him guilty of Karen Hadaway and Nicola Fellows' murder. He is sentenced to life in prison, which is awesome, because when he got sentenced to life in prison for the abduction and sexual assault of Claire, he was put up for parole, but I don't think he's up. No. I think they're basically nah, this is an asshole who doesn't need to be out in society, which is true.
It is said that he's likely to remain in prison for 64 years.
Yeah.
Which would probably end his life. And that is actually the longest term served in England or Wales.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
That's interesting. What do you think about the pie?
It's fucking delicious.
Okay, good.
First of all, guys. So, sorry. You want some of these?
I'll leave the recipe link in the below if you guys want to try it, because it's actually really good.
It's super good.
Yeah. So that is the case of Karen Hadaway and Nicola Fellows, Babes in the Wood. A lot of our information came from Wikipedia, and Brittany found a really good documentary. It's a 45-minute documentary on this case. And we'll put all of that, that link below if you ever want to watch it, because we're going to try, like I said, we're going to try to insert some of the video clips, but we can't guarantee that it's actually going to happen. So we'll at least put the link below, and I'll put the link for the recipe for the pie below if anybody ever wants to try that. And anything else?
Justice was served, y'all.
Finally was served after 33 years.
33 years.
That asshole got what he deserved.
Yep.
So,
that's all I had.
I bet he's being raped in prison right now.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure he is.
I don't condone rape, but...
Eye for an eye.
Eye for an eye. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like us and want to keep watching, we're going to try to upload every week. My husband is currently not in state. He told me not to say, but I'm going to say it anyways. He's currently deployed. So I'm kind of a single mom right now, plus I'm working, and it's going to be hard for me to get these videos edited and put up and everything, but we're going to try to do it once a week. So hit the subscribe button if you want to see more. Leave some comments below. If we didn't pronounce something correctly, let us know, because I'm horrible at pronunciations.
Me too. Don't be a troll though, because we don't...
No,
you'd be barking up the wrong tree with that one. I'm just going to say that.
We'll call you out on it. Yeah. We don't care. And yeah, so just give us a like, share our videos, and thank you guys so much for watching. This is the Murder Mukbang.
Yay!
Our first one is done. You kill them.
We grill them.
Bye.
Bye, guys.